The puzzling tragedy of love, why we sabotage what we want. It's one of the most puzzling tragedies of love. Everything is going well. There's chemistry, mutual respect, shared laughter, and the promise of something lasting. Yet, without warning, one person suddenly pulls away, starts a needless argument, or shuts down emotionally, turning a warm, safe moment into a cold, tense silence. Why would anyone destroy the very thing they've always wanted? The answer often lies not in the present moment, but in the past, in the deep emotional imprints of our earliest relationships. The story of Dan and Sarah. Dan and Sarah had been together for 3 months, and the relationship seemed to be blossoming. They had traveled together, met each other's families, and shared intimate weekends. On the surface, everything pointed toward a healthy, growing love. But beneath Dan's professional success and calm demeanor lay a wound formed decades earlier. As a child, Dan's mother had been emotionally distant, favoring his older sister and leaving him to fend for himself emotionally. This early neglect taught him two painful survival skills. 1. 2. Why love feels threatening to the wounded. When Sarah offered Dan consistent affection, something in him recoiled, not because he didn't want it, but because receiving it felt dangerous. To a wounded psyche, genuine love can feel almost unbearable in its warmth and hopefulness. It threatens the emotional armor built in childhood. So, rather than risk being hurt when love is inevitably, in his mind, withdrawn, Dan found ways to push it away. First, the paradox of deprivation. Here's the cruel irony. When someone has been emotionally starved in the past, finally receiving affection doesn't automatically heal them. Instead, they may become even more demanding, critical, and perfectionistic. Visible demands, critical behavior, emotional scarcity, idealized fantasies, fear of disappointment. Why? Because they've built an idealized fantasy of what love should be, perfect, unconditional, flawless, just to survive the years without it. Reality can't match that fantasy. And when it the TTH the ITTF L T T Hi. The real cry beneath the conflict. When Dan sabotaged a beautiful evening, he was essentially sending two unconscious messages to Sarah. You can't really love me because my mother didn't. You don't love me enough or in the perfect way I've imagined. Neither of these beliefs had anything to do with Sarah. She was simply standing in the place where his mother's absence once stood. This is how emotional transference works. The past gets projected onto the present. The only way out. Dan and Sarah's relationship could only survive if Dan understood a core truth of modern psychotherapy. The way we love now always passes through the gate of the way we were loved then. If childhood love was distorted, scarce, or conditional, those distortions will echo in adult relationships until we face them. Healing means recognizing when we're fighting ghosts from the past instead of the person in front of us. It means learning to tolerate the discomfort of real, imperfect love instead of sabotaging it in search of an impossible ideal. Final thought. We don't sabotage good relationships because we don't want love. We sabotage them because love, real, vulnerable, unpredictable love, threatens the emotional defenses that once kept us alive. Recognize the pattern. Identify when past wounds are influencing present reactions. Face the discomfort. Learn to tolerate the vulnerability of genuine, imperfect love. Build new trust. Gradually trust what's in front of you despite past experiences. To stop the cycle, we must do the hardest thing. Trust what's in front of us, even when our history screams otherwise. That trust is not built in a day, but it's the only bridge between the lonely past and the loving future we deserve.